Recently, OpenAI's CFO Sarah Fryer made a bold declaration to the market. There is a vertical wall of demand for AI products. But at the same time, reports from the Wall Street Journal indicated the company missed its own internal revenue and user targets. Both reports are accurate. Enterprise customers are lining up, but nobody, not even the leading AI developers, can accurately predict what these massive companies will actually use, pay for, or successfully integrate across their workforce. The friction stalling the AI revolution reflects a massive market-wide coordination problem, moving far beyond simple hardware constraints. To understand the scale of this disconnect, consider the infrastructure. By 2026, Big Tech is projected to spend $660 billion on AI hardware and data centers. They are laying fiber and stacking GPUs as fast as the global supply chain allows, but throwing more compute at a problem does not cure hallucination. Even the most advanced agentic AI running on the most expensive servers still cannot tell a factory manager whether a 47-minute workflow delay is a one-off glitch or a systemic failure. It cannot tell a local utility which specific neighborhood will default on its power bills next month. Models fail at these tasks because they lack ground truth. They are trained on scraped, synthetic datasets, but truth lives in the physical reality of the communities experiencing these events. As a result, the tech industry is pouring hundreds of billions into an infrastructure network that remains blind to the physical world it was built to optimize. This disconnect creates a micro-productivity trap. As OpenAI's own chief economist noted in the Harvard Business Review, individual employees might save hours using AI, but those gains stall out at the organizational level because the underlying incentives haven't changed. The root of this trap is the tyranny of the average. Large enterprises optimize multi-billion-dollar budgets around a single glowing statistical average, whether that's an average customer lifetime value or an average grid load. But nobody actually lives at that exact statistical average. When an enterprise builds its supply chain or HR budgets around that single floating point, it is building for a ghost. Because the enterprise is blind to the messy reality on the ground, it encounters anomalies and panics. To protect its output, it mathematically forces the scheduling of redundant workers and spends exponentially more to replace churning accounts. This failure of prediction operates at scale. Right now, record top-line revenues across the information age are masking a violent, invisible drain on corporate retained earnings. Fixing this requires a structural addition to the internet. Currently, the web operates on two layers. Layer 1 is physical, the fiber optics, data centers, and grids moving literal atoms. Layer 2 is logical. This is the realm of TCP/IP, routing algorithms, and large language models moving digital bits. Neither of these layers coordinates truth. Neither can tell a CFO if their operating average is actually true in physical reality. That missing link is why we must build Layer 3, the completion layer. It doesn't try to replace predictive AI with better prediction. It supports those models with cryptographic attestation. In practice, rather than surveilling users, an enterprise securely emits a simple true or false audit of its own assumptions to a specific geographic mesh. For example, our models assume the payment capacity here is 30 days. True or false? Individuals in that community respond anonymously via secure edge devices. The system uses the collective mass to hide the individual, ensuring no personal data ever leaves the device. When those anonymous responses hit a mathematical consensus, a clinical-grade agreement of 67%, the system achieves ground truth coherence, bridging the gap between the synthetic model and physical reality. When that statistical average is finally corrected, the result isn't magic, it's accounting. Billions currently sit frozen as defensive capital, stagnating in GAAP-mandated bad debt provisions or speculative queues. By providing a cryptographic record of the market's actual state, Layer 3 allows companies to confidently reclassify these trapped reserves as liquid assets. This zero-custody model doesn't require a middleman to hold the funds. Instead, it generates a clinical-grade consensus and mathematical proof of physical reality that functions as a verifiable audit trail. This gives the CFO the objective evidence needed to independently release those defensive reserves through their internal ERP systems. By auditing ground truth, defensive corporate waste is transformed into hyper-localized organic growth. The vertical wall of AI demand is real, But demand without truth leads to chaos. The companies that ultimately win the AI era will not be the ones with the largest server clusters. They will be the ones that elevate AI into a coherence collaborator. For C-suite leaders, the multi-billion-dollar mandate is shifting. The essential question is no longer, how do we get more compute? It is, how do we audit our averages? Compute without truth hallucinates, and truth without compute cannot scale. But combining the two, grounding massive processing power in audited physical reality, liberates trillions in potential value. Big Tech's $660 billion blind spot reflects the absence of a shared layer where physical truth directs the flow of capital.